You already know it's not working. The job is draining you. The relationship is shrinking you. The situation has stopped feeling right. And yet, you stay. You tell yourself you'll leave when you're more confident, when you're less afraid, when you have a better plan, when the right moment comes. But the right moment doesn't arrive because you're waiting to feel ready. What if sometimes the leap comes before the confidence? There's an ancient story that gives us a beautiful image for this. Hello there, my name is Bhavna, and today we are looking at King Vamana and Bali. Vamana appears before King Bali as a small, seemingly insignificant figure. And then, when the right moment comes, he expands. He doesn't become slightly larger. He changes the scale entirely. One step encompasses the earth, another reaches the heavens. It isn't the story itself as much, but it's the image that conveys to us. Because we often think growth means becoming a little better at being who we already are. A little stronger, a little more patient. We tell ourselves we are becoming stronger because we are learning to tolerate more. But tolerance isn't growth. Sometimes you are simply becoming better at surviving something you already know you've outgrown. And that's where the real difficulty begins. Because knowing you've outgrown something doesn't automatically give you the courage to leave it. You can know and still stay. You can be certain and still be afraid. So perhaps the quantum leap isn't the moment you become fearless. It's the moment your knowing becomes stronger than your fear. Think about it. We think if I work harder, they'll finally see me. If I explain myself better, they'll finally understand. If I become better, they'll treat me differently. But there comes a point when the question changes. Why have I made their ability to see my worth the measurement of it? That is a different kind of shift, and it doesn't necessarily feel courageous. Sometimes it feels like grief. It feels terrifying. It feels like standing at the edge of something you cannot yet see. But courage isn't always the absence of fear. Sometimes courage is simply this. The fear is still there, but it no longer gets to make the decision. And this is where I think the idea of quantum leap becomes meaningful. Not a sudden miracle, not becoming a completely different person overnight, but a moment when your understanding of yourself changes faster than your circumstances do. Nothing outside you has changed yet, but you have. And once you see yourself differently, certain choices become impossible to keep making. You stop asking for permission. You stop negotiating what you already know. You stop trying to fit yourself back into a version of your life that has become too small. Keep in mind though, the leap isn't always from weakness to strength. Sometimes it's from an understanding of yourself, of a smaller understanding to a larger one. But there is distinction worth making that I'd like to point out. Not every impulse to leave is courage. Sometimes we are escaping. Sometimes staying is the brave thing. Sometimes leaving is. The difference isn't how dramatic the decision looks from the outside. It's whether it comes from clarity or from fear. And perhaps that is why the biggest changes in our life doesn't always begin with certainty. They begin with knowing. I cannot keep doing this to myself. And then somehow the next step becomes possible. So perhaps the question isn't, when will I finally be brave enough to take the leap? Maybe the better questions to reflect upon are, where in my life am I waiting to feel ready when I already know what I need to do? Where am I still trying to earn something that should never have required earning? And perhaps most importantly, what version of myself am I still protecting even though I have already outgrown it? Alright then, this is me, Bhavna, signing off. Leave your thoughts on these questions in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. And I'll see you in the next one. Until then, allow yourself to take the space you no longer need permission to occupy.